pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning. Let's take a look at the agenda. Any additions there, Steve?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, at 10:30, please add Auditor Treasurer Tyler Reich to set a home tax abatement public hearing.
Okay.
So that'll be an action item. And then at 10:35, approximately in there, I put on your desks, we're going to approve the quote to repair the household hazardous waste building roof. And that'll be an action item as well.
Okay. Anything else? Do it.
No, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Chris made a motion to approve the agenda.
Dan will second.
And seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, then let's look at the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the consent agenda.
Okay, Luke made a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of discussion on that, just on the August 21st auditor's vouchers, just as a point of information for you. Auditor Treasurer's Office has been processing the grants for nonprofit and profits. So on this batch, you'll find there are 17 for-profit grant applications that were approved and paid and one nonprofit. So you'll be seeing these weekly, and we'll just make mention of that as we go forward, just so you have a tally of where we're at as we move ahead on this. So 17 for-profits and one nonprofit were listed on auditor's vouchers for 8/21.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to Nick. I think you've got some items to bring forward today. Good morning.
Morning.
Steve, is the monument on?
Yep, Seth is on.
Okay,
I have Seth on his audio is off, but he is here.
okay. So the first item I have today would be the request for professional engineering services, or request for proposal for professional engineering services for the flooding on Judicial Ditch 1. I believe the draft copy was sent out with the packets. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it or not, but it's pretty short and sweet. You know, if there's anything anybody would like to see added to it, you know, we certainly could. Otherwise, I believe the monument wanted to add a couple items about water quality and.
One of the items that Lauren had mentioned was on bullet point number 1 under engineering tasks. When it came after the detention project, she suggested that another slash be put there and added wetland restoration. As long as they're looking at it, I don't have any, I emailed her back, so I don't think that should be any problem at all to add that to it, just another area to look at. Seth, if you're on the line and have any comments, please feel free to unmute your microphone and feel free to share.
Thanks. This is Lauren Blasik. I'm here with Seth, and we don't have any additional comments. Thanks for sending out the draft.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Right, so I guess if none of you have any other comments or additions to it, I guess I'd probably just, if it's all right, I'd work with the monument and add that additional wording they'd like, and then we could probably, I'll contact someone who would have a recommendation of firms to send it to, and then I'll probably send it out and give them a month to respond or something to it, and then see what they have to say, and then I guess take it from there.
Mr. Chair, I do got one question. There's been, a lot of the residents want those floodgates inspected by a third party because they're not happy with the inspection just being on that city. They feel like they're not getting their due diligence on that. So would that fall under like conceptual designs, whatever improvements to the existing channel, that would be kind of blanketed in that, right? Because those floodgates would be looked at as a potential upgrade, or change, or improvement possibly.
You know, if we want, we could put that in there, but
We just have concerns with the age.
yeah, no, and I understand that there's been concerns with it. I'm just trying to think like if that would be like a city thing or if that should be lumped in with the ditch, but I mean,
Isn't it, if it's within the city of Pipestone, doesn't the city of Pipestone have some skin in the game here? Shouldn't they be,
well, they installed it and I don't know how it connects with everything else, so I don't.
live in the city of Pipestone, and it's their concern, and it's in the city limits of Pipestone, I
It
guess.
does connect to their storm sewer system.
Right, so I don't know that it,
I don't really care to get the county dragged into all this crap if it's a city of Pipestone problem.
yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever the board tells me to do, but
That's just my feeling, but I'm.
yeah, I mean, I see why it's a problem, but
But if it impacts the flooding, I guess you'd have to look at it as
right.
an issue.
So I didn't know if that would be considered a part of the improvements, because there's going to be analysis on all this anyway. I was just curious if that would be considered.
you know, I guess that could be put in there, and then when it's decided, if we move forward with this, who's gonna pay for it, I guess maybe that could be on,
I talked for that.
If you look back, Nick, do we know who put those gates in?
City did.
okay, I do not know.
The city did.
That he did.
Yeah, it was for stormwater drainage off of their streets, basically.
That's,
So would their information as far as the installation be available as a data source?
The city information?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I would think
we'd
so.
want to get everything we could
I
from
mean, you
them
might
of
want
what
to add
they've
that to
done.
the list then of what would be
Yep,
available.
I could, so yeah, for right now, it would cost nothing to throw it in here, I guess.
Right.
Because this is just a request for proposal, they tell us what it's gonna cost to actually do the work, so. Okay,
do you wanna,
Nick and Mr. Chair, I agree with Chris. I think because of how critical those floodgates are and the questions we've had in the past, that anything we can do to facilitate the comfort level to address that, I think we need to do. I agree with your comment though, Bruce, too, as far as who should pay for it. So it needs to be done, but we need to make sure that it's done, and we'll figure out who's gonna pay for it when you put this request together.
do you need, action on this right now, Nick, or you, to go forward with your?
I don't know, I guess, if you don't think we need it, that's fine, it's just as long as I get direction from the board to go ahead and send it out, that's,
Let's just make it an action item.
okay,
Yeah.
don't matter.
Anybody care to
Then it's on record.
make a motion to go forward and prove it?
I'd make a motion to.
Okay, Luke made the motion,
Second.
Chris seconded. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, one more point I'd like to make is I did send a copy of this out to all the members that were on the small group that met that said they would work on this, and I received no feedback from anybody.
You sent that out more than a few weeks back, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, I sent out before I went on my vacation, make sure everyone had it, so, but I didn't get any response back, so we'll assume that we're okay with that then.
Okay, so Nick, you're gonna add a little wording about the floodgates or whatever, and then,
Wetland restoration.
Yep, I will check with the city to see what they have, I would assume they have plans, so I'd title it,
we certainly wouldn't wanna stand in their way for all the improvements they've got planned. What I mean?
yeah, so I'll list off whatever they have for plans, et cetera, under the materials available for this project. And I will add floodgates to the engineering tasks, and I will work with the monument to get the wording that they wanted added, and then we'll send it off, so.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Right.
And so far, this does not show that we're spending any money on this at this point. All we're doing is going out for RFPs.
Correct.
That discussion will occur
Okay.
to see who's going to pay for this if we wish to go
Right.
ahead with it.
Yep. My next item is that tack truck we asked to sell at the last meeting. Doug found this site, it's called Minbid. It's like kind of like a government auction site. And he actually tried to sell something on it a year or so ago, and they weren't gonna bill us, it didn't sound like they were gonna bill us anything to do it. And this would probably have a better reach than just locally, so I think I'd like to try to sell this tack truck on there first, and if that doesn't work, I don't know how far out or how long it's gotta sit on their website, but if we don't get any bids at all for it there, then I would probably I'd just advertise, like we had talked about the last time, but, you did approve it locally, and, since I found a different way, I wanted to talk with the board again before just go ahead and changing that, so.
Well, you better luck with this, I would think.
Agree.
Nick, do you
A
know
lot
if
more
this,
coverage.
True, the coverage would be better, but with that tank situation, I still don't know. Maybe somebody had retrofit it, I don't know. I just don't know much about that equipment, so.
Let's just do it.
Worth a shot.
Do the min bid thing. Okay.
we don't know if it runs or anything at this point. It just
Um,
been sitting for 10 years. It's probably just,
In talking with Doug, he's confident that we'll have it running by the time we go to sell it. It did run when we parked it.
what you get for it. You can't spend a lot of money.
No, he was thinking we could just put an electric fuel pump in it and then it'd be running again, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay.
Okay,
And, suppose we better make a motion that we're going to go ahead and let Nick go ahead and put this
I'll
on.
move for approval, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
Chris made a motion.
Second, Dan.
Dan seconded it. Chris and Dan. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
all right. Next item I have would be some right-of-way payments. It's actually 7 of them. It's one side of one project. It was a property that got split up amongst the family. It's a culvert replacement down by Edgerton. Yeah, not much else to say about it, I guess. Pretty straightforward one, just like all the rest of them, or most of the rest of them anyway, but.
I move for approval.
Okay, Les made a motion to approve the payments. I'll second it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, then only 2 other updates I have. One would be our County Road 86. I've met with, that's the one that it's been underwater for about a year now. I met with DNR a couple weeks ago, or a couple branches of the DNR, and they said, well, it's been long enough. Water hasn't gone down. They said, I think it's time to go ahead and drain it, fix the road. So we got approval to do that from them. I did a really rough preliminary estimate, what I think is worst case scenario, and it came out to about, I think it was $84,000 to fix it, but the water's been going down. I've been tracking it regularly. I put marks out there and it's been going down, so I think pumping will be less, and I counted for the whole entire road to be gone, but as the water's going down, I see a lot of it's there yet. I think most of the damage is probably where the waves are crashing, so I don't think it'll take near that much anymore, but that was, my original worst case estimate, so hopefully we can come in around half of that, but either way, we got approval.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
question for Nick. Traffic count on that road, is it a real big inconvenience for the people in that area if we don't have that road back up in service?
I don't know what the traffic count is there, but the detour is not good. The detour, the road around it is very hilly. It's gravel. It's just not a very good road for going around. Otherwise,
Okay, good. Thanks, Nick.
Otherwise, that would be the easiest thing to do, just leave it closed and forever or until the water goes down or whatever, but, so what we preliminarily got approved at the DNR would be to install a tile. We'd have to buy an easement to get it there, but, we'd install a tile to where if this comes up again in the future, we open the gate on this tile and it drains it out, so, hopefully this wouldn't ever happen again, but,
I don't suppose they'd do that since it's coming from their land.
I tried that avenue a little bit. I don't I doubt anything's gonna happen, but I did try that avenue, so. So I guess if, you know, if that's something you'd like me to pursue, I'd probably pursue securing easements with whatever owners are needed, I guess, to at least get the tile in there and get the water drained down and. I'll
At
do
least that way it'd be a permanent solution.
Yes. Right, because if we just waited for the water to go down and rebuilt the road, then it comes back up, we're in the same exact boat, so.
Right, right.
So,
I don't see where we really have any choice, you know, to be fair to the people in that area. If that road can be fixed, we really have an obligation to do it, so, you know. And like I said, unless it's a road that's not needed, and for what you said, it is needed, so.
right, if it was,
I think we need to go ahead with it.
if it was the road to the north that was not a very good road anyway, it might very well be a completely different ballgame, you know, but this one is like, this is the, this is the good one, you know, of the two, so. So I think it's something we should pursue, so. Okay. I will, meet with, adjoining landowners on that then.
Okay?
Okay, oh, and then I guess back to that County Road 86, that would be something in my mind we could use wheelage tax funds for too,
Right.
to work on, so that's probably something I'd look at there, but. Another good side note on it too, if we do this work ourselves, it's pretty close to our gravel pit, so that would help too.
Yeah.
Last item I have today is, I received a complaint, a dust complaint. I mean, you know, things are really dry and windy, it's dusty everywhere, but, it's on our County Road 55, which is the road like a mile west of the school. It's a 1 mile gravel stretch. This person feels that there's an increased amount of traffic with Highway 75 bridge being shut. You know, in talking to them, they're telling me about the traffic, and you know, there's trucks that really shouldn't be on that road, like, you know, FedEx trucks, the freight trucks and stuff. So I think it is legit that there is more traffic because of that. So if it's okay with the board, I think I'd like to add dust control for those houses on that 1 mile stretch along when they do the rest of it. They should be coming in this week to do that other stuff I talked about, so.
That sounds reasonable. Is there, can we get reimbursed by the state for this? Because
I'll
it's
turn
part
that
of
in too. I don't know what they'll do about it, but I'll
But it's
try.
part of the additional traffic because of the project they're working on, so I would,
Yep, but they might very well say that, you know, well, we're paying you for them to take those other roads, they're not hurting those roads, so use that money. They might say that, I don't know.
well, we'll just have to see how that works out.
Yeah, I'll submit it to them as a bill, and we'll just see what they say, but.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of traffic on both ends on there, and people aren't going slow on that stretch either. They're kicking up a lot of dirt, or a lot of
Okay.
dust with that.
Yeah, we signed at least one of them, and I don't know if that does any good or not, but, you know, it's something. So the dust control would be the most helpful, I think, out there, so.
But you said it right with the FedEx trucks and the UPS trucks, they're taking that one too, I don't know.
I don't know why they'd be on that road, so it's gotta be from the detour part, so. Yep. Okay,
Nick, I think it's very justified now during the detour. My only concern would be, and we might want to be very clear with people who live along there, that this isn't a permanent commitment to put dust control on there, that this is going to be just strictly for the length of the detour.
yep, and, yeah, I can mention that, I don't think it was ever, I feel like in our conversations, it was, you know, certainly implied that it was just for this, but I can, I'll let them know that it won't be permanent, so. You know, the only thing that makes me a little bit worried about this is like, well, then does the guy down the road say he's got extra traffic too, and then the next one, you know, where do you draw that line? But I think this one is legit, so that's why I'd like to add this one to it. But, okay, I will do that. I will add this one to the other dust control segment, so. With that being said, that's all I have for today.
Anybody else have any questions for Nick or comments or?
All right.
I do
We need a
have,
motion for the dust control just for the record, or are we fine without taking action, specific action on this?
I think we can just let you go ahead and take care of it.
Okay, just add it to that other stuff that you
A
approved.
couple more
Done.
people asked me about the bridge south of Edgerton. When's that gonna be fixed? What can I tell them? Anything? Or is it gonna be in the 5-year plan? Or
No, it's supposed to be done this year.
Okay.
Uh,
I said I thought it was gonna be done sometime this fall, but I said I can't tell you.
Yep.
Because it's involved with some other projects at the same time.
Doug has been in contact with a paving crew about that, with Fuller's actually, I believe it was. I think they could get the right mix to do, that's not just a patch there, we're gonna have to probably overlay up onto the bridge, because
There's about 3 or 4 different areas involved there, the patch and the bridge
Yeah.
and the road, and the whole thing is kinda,
so that'll be a little bit more delicate work there. You know, we've done all the other patches like ourselves with our motor grader. Well, I mean, it's pretty good, but it's not like, it's tough to get something like that out. You can't really do it with the motor grader.
Crack off the first time you get a ice and snow either, and the blade comes over it, and
Yeah, it might peel that off, but the only other thing I can think of is to probably rip that panel off, that approach panel, and that would be really, really expensive. So this would probably be try this first would be the best thing, I think.
there's slow down sign. Of course, they don't slow down, they just
Wow.
go right around the curve, you know.
Yeah. So, no, it's in the works for this year. I haven't heard a date yet.
That's fine, as long as it's in,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's in the works for this year, so.
all right, thank you.
Yep. All right, well, that's all I had. I'll probably hang around for the township stuff in case there's anything I can help with.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and it looks like our next item is the Casey Jones Trail, and Steve, are you here to show your appreciation for those asphalt patches across the road?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Steve Pearson. I'm the chairman of Burke Township Board, and I have some handouts, and we can either do this in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or we can go through this and take an hour. We'll start with the 5-minute process first and see if that works. I don't know how much you guys are aware of what's going on with that Casey Jones Trail, but they have, they've got these truncated domes on the edge of the roadway on 150th Avenue, which is the Burke Township gravel road, and they paved across the road a 60-foot wide strip. And they did the same thing in Gray Township. I just drove across it this morning on 140th Avenue. I took a picture of it. You can't even tell that asphalt is there. It's all covered with gravel. So why are they putting all these tar across our road if they're not going to keep it clean? So it looks to me like it's a liability for the township, because if a blind person comes out and finds these truncated domes and slips and falls on the road because our gravel is there, who are they going to sue? The DNR or the township? You know? And I had the DNR officials at a couple of our township board meetings. They're going to do the same thing in Gray Township all the way to Pipestone, and 2 of your county roads are going to have the same thing. And I have a feeling that you guys have not been made aware of that. That's what really torqued me off about the whole thing, is that the first time I learned about this was when our blade operator called me and said, "What are they doing on your road? They're tarring across your road out here." I said, "Oh, really?" So I jumped my pickup and drove out there, and yeah, they were tarring across the road. Not just 10-foot wide like the trail, it's 60 feet wide.
I don't know what the purpose is to have it, you know.
Because their lame story is that it's ADA, American with Disabilities Act, has to be compliant, and gravel is not an acceptable surface. And I talked to the Township Association attorney, and he referred me to Jason Hill, who is with Kennedy and Graven, and he's dealt with the DNR on a lot of these trails. And there's some language in most of these agreements that they've done that is not in the Casey Jones. Casey Jones is special. So, anyway, I talked to this Jason Hill with this Kennedy Graven, and he was going to write the DNR letter. But then I thought, you know, Pipestone County is involved with this, and so is Gray Township. And instead of Burke Township going to bat for the county, I thought the county should maybe either go to bat for Burke Township and Gray Township, or at least all 3 of us get involved together. Because we're all going to be fighting the same thing, these stupid asphalt strips on our gravel roads that have no business being there. So I guess what I'm really asking you guys is, and I asked this Jason Hill, can you give me an estimated cost? Because everybody wants to know cost. He said $2,000 to $3,000 go a long ways. So I thought, well, if we have Burke Township and Pipestone County and Gray Township, we all throw in $1,000. We have an attorney do what he can. He doubts that we'll be able to remove any of these asphalt strips that are already in place. However, we may be able to stop any others.
Are they gonna maintain these strips too over the years and?
This dude that was here from
mean, somebody's-
Laverne gave us a lame excuse that, well, we'll send one of these rotary brooms up every 2 weeks and clean them off.
Great.
Well, I was just out there this morning and it has not been done. Like I said, the gravel is thick on there and you can't even see the tar below it.
So it's not,
It's not being done.
no, it isn't.
And like I said, my concern is who's liable if somebody falls out there? Because a plain gravel road is not near as slippery as asphalt with gravel on top of it. I mean, we all know that, but when you're dealing with the DNR, you know as well as I do, they don't answer to anybody. They can do what they
They
want.
actually own the right of way for that trail? Is it a DNR? or
They
are
claim they do.
They're liable for things that happen on the trail? If they pave it, then I would assume they're liable for that liability as it's
Well,
going across, but-
I have in these handouts, there's a copy of, or just the first page of the deed. It's like 15 pages that the Chicago, the grantor, Chicago, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Omaha Railway Company. And it doesn't even say they gave it to the state of Minnesota anyway, but they've got the right of way and it tells all the parcels and stuff. And then the last words, it says, subject to roads. So my attorney said that basically means that we have the right to go across there and put roads there. But they're claiming that they own the land and this township has an easement to have a road on it because the railroad was there before the township built a road there.
So you're allowed to cross their trail?
And this is
They
no
own it.
longer the railroad, but they're claiming that the railroad deeded it to the state and the state deeded it to DNR. So and I went back to 1890 something and found a deed in Illinois or something, but didn't really help either. It just shows that it was, somebody asked me about finding a road order, and I tried to find one in the courthouse and nobody can find an actual road order. I mean, that would have been way back in the early 1900s or late 1800s, and as near as I can tell, one does not exist, but that would say who actually owns that road, if it's Burke Township or the railroad or and if the railroad actually owned it, then yeah, the DNR's got it because it was deeded to the state and now to the DNR. But our concern is this tar on our road, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I don't want to, I know some people are in favor of the trail, myself, I'm not, that's beside the point. The trail's been funded and the trail's gonna happen. What I don't want to happen is these asphalt strips across all these gravel roads.
I've never had those before, and on the other sections, it's always been gravel, and as a person who's used the trail, that's never bothered me, it was just part of the trail.
And they're gonna go back all the way to Pipestone, and all those crossings will have truncated domes with a 60-foot wide asphalt strip on the road, is their plan, when the funding comes. I don't think it's gonna happen anymore this year, but
So my question is, are they in charge of plowing it during the winter then too? I mean, it's their road. It's a lot of gray area there.
well, we tried to tell them too that, our blade operator, he's not gonna use any extra caution there when he's blading snow. If he hooks that asphalt, he hooks the asphalt, I mean. And it's pretty thick though, because we've had some Burke residents that hauled manure with these huge tanks, and it stood up better than we thought it was gonna. So it's not just a little 2-inch thick layer of asphalt, it must be 4 to 6 inches.
But that's why they didn't have enough.
Mr. Chair, if I may address Steve. Steve, this is Dan Wildenmuth, joining the meeting via Zoom. Both Chris Hollingsworth and I do sit on this Casey Jones Trail Board, and we fought the same battle. We didn't know they were doing this paving until last year as they were building the trail. All of a sudden it was there. Nobody knew they were going to do it. We've had the same discussion you've had with DNR and the same frustration. It just does not make sense. And Chris, you can chime in as well too. It's been a huge frustration for us. Also, even with the fundraising part of it, we had received a grant from the state to continue that trail into Woodstock and on Lake Wilson. And then they came back and said, we got to use X number of dollars to go back and put these handicap accessible crossways in all the way back to Pipestone. So of course that limits how much further we can continue on with the trail. Again, the Casey Jones Trail is the first designated state trail. I think it goes back to the 70s, Chris, if I remember right, 80s, something like that. It's been a long time. So yeah, we share your frustration. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. And personally, I would like to be able to join in with the discussion with DNR and point out to them, and I certainly understand your question about the liability. Would you be willing to come and join in the discussion with our next Casey Jones Trail meeting and see if we can collaborate on a approach to address this with the DNR? Because so far they're not listening to us either.
Do you have any idea when that meeting might be? Because I'm a farmer and it's coming upon the busy time of year, so I can't just drop everything. And actually, I've got things I should be doing this morning too, but I made time to come to the commissioners meeting. So it all depends on when the meeting will be.
Chris, if you got your calendar in front of you, we meet at noon over at Slayton, is tradition where we meet at, and it's once a month. I think the next one is it in 2 weeks, Chris?
This will be on the September 3rd.
3rd, okay.
Hard to tell.
Well, if it rains, I can make it. I got guys I'm supposed to be driving silage truck for the next couple of weeks, so they're kind of
Sure.
counting on me, but I can give you a definite maybe. What was the date on that?
It'll be September 3rd at Pizza Ranch in Slayton.
What time, noon, you said?
It's actually it's 11:30. We normally meet a half hour earlier and grab lunch, but whatever, if you can be there at noon, that would be great.
Okay. I can't promise anything. I'll make an effort. Yeah, I wish
I appreciate your attempt to shine some light on a very obvious waste of money here, and I agree with you completely.
Dan, maybe there's something the committee should look at, accepting this language that was brought forward today too, and show that, maybe that as a committee that we're not pleased with that either, especially not being involved, being aware that they're gonna install that from the get-go.
If I can leave you all a copy of what I have here, there's a letter that this Jason Hill drafted to send to the DNR. And I told him to hold off on that because it just lists Burke Township. And if I get you guys on board and Gray Township, I think we should all be listed in the letter.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
I don't think the county's ever officially funded the trail or been involved in permitting it or anything like that. It's all a state DNR.
And they just do what they want to do.
The county has no skin in the game other than we send 2 commissioners to the meeting every month.
So what I handed you here was some emails that I sent with Steve Fensky, who is the association attorney, and he can't really give me any actual legal counsel, just kind of general vague advice because he's not a for-hire attorney. The next one is this. This is what the state wanted us to sign, and I am not gonna because it's all, it's pretty vague and whatever. You can read that at your own leisure if you want. It's just nothing in there that's really earth-shattering. It's just, I don't know, it's stupid. And then this next one from Kennedy and Graven, that's some things, comments he made about this. One thing is the agreement appears to be only 1 year, expiring on June 30th of 2021. Well, there's ongoing maintenance. This trail isn't going to go away in a year. This has to be something perpetual.
Right.
And I think somewhere it says in this letter too from the state that they were going to give us $200 a year for extra gravel, because our concern is, if you have this asphalt thing in the middle of a gravel road, that it's going to get rough and there'll be potholes and stuff, and we're going to have extra maintenance to maintain our road on theirs. Either side of their asphalt, so we'll give you $200 a year for extra gravel.
So you really kind of need an approach to it too. I mean, you can't just have a big
Right.
there to cross over all the time.
Yeah. And then there's the correspondence I've had with this Jason Hill. He talks about the statute. The trail be developed as a multi-use, multi-seasonal, and dual treadway. The statute's also unique in how it's different than other trail provisions. Specifically, the statutory language from other trails provides in establishing, developing, maintaining, and operating the trail, the commissioner shall cooperate with local units of government and private individuals and groups whenever feasible. This language is not included in the Casey Jones trail provisions. So that means they can do whatever the hell they want and they don't have to contact us or nothing, and that's why they haven't. That's right in the state statute.
Does this thing go right through your farm?
No, it does not.
You're on the south side of it?
Yes, I'm a mile south of the trail. And then the last one I have is just that deed I was telling you about. I just copied the front page. It's a 15-page deed, but it's got all the different townships from Pipestone to Heron Lake. That's where it says, yeah, subject to roads, so define that. It's kind of a vague. So anyway, I guess what I'm asking is if you guys would be interested in having this Jason Hill include you guys in the letter, and if you'd be willing to share the cost of having an attorney send a letter to the DNR and see if we can accomplish anything. He needs to check on the ADA and see what's actually required. This dude from the DNR claims that the ADA the gravel is not an acceptable road surface. And I'd like to see that in writing from the ADA, because you see all these other city and county or parks that have trails. There are very few paved. There are some, but there's an awful lot of gravel trails that seem to work just fine.
On that same subject, Steve, when we've had a discussion with them, DNR, we said the same thing. Why can't you use pea gravel? And they told us, well, pea gravel is acceptable in state parks for parking areas, but not regular road gravel. And it just doesn't make sense.
But if you, yeah, I understand, Dan, it does not make sense. And I wish we could get them to go out and look. If they'd go look at our road and walk on that road and walk on their stupid trail with the asphalt and tell me which one they'd rather walk on.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I agree. You mentioned about hiring an attorney. I wonder, Steve, what do you think? Is this something that instead of spending additional money on this, if our county attorney, Demain Sandy, if he could help draft a letter, if that would be effective as well?
When I talked to Steve Fensky, he's a Minnesota Association of Township attorney or legal counsel, and I asked him that question. I said, can we hire a local attorney? And he said, no. You need to hire someone that is experienced and has experience dealing with the DNR and the trails. He gave me the name of 2 attorneys, and one of them was this Jason Hill. And he's dealt with many trails, he said, with the DNR. So I think my personal thought is we need to hire somebody that has experience dealing with the DNR, because that's not a normal entity that you're dealing with.
Right.
I agree, it's nice to do local business if you can, but in this situation, I really think we need experience.
And we, one of the times when the DNR came to the township board, they did say that, it was their intention to continue to do this across county roads as well as township roads. So, at that point, we do have an interest in.
Because you have 2 roads out near Woodstock that are county roads that are gonna, next time they get funding, they're gonna pave across them. And whether they notify you or not, that according to this way
and
it's
you
written,
weren't
they
even
don't have to.
notified, which seems especially horrible, I think, that they would just do it and not even contact you ahead of time,
Imagine we get the same treatment when they come across our roads.
possibly.
I'm sure you will. They didn't talk to us, and according to what I just read, they don't have to.
And Nick, you'd have concerns having that one,
It'd be
wait,
the same thing on our roads as theirs.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman and board members, the county attorney is aware of what's going on. Through Luke and myself and Nick, we've been going back and forth, and the county attorney would have been here, but he's in court this morning. They've got a full docket for the next few weeks, the way it sounds. They're playing catch-up. But just to paraphrase what Demain wrote me, he says, Steve, I've been researching the issue of whether the DNR can pave the Casey Jones Trail where it crosses county and township roads, and if the county and townships have any authority to stop the DNR. Nick provided me with the deed given by the railroad to the state conveying the right-of-way for the Casey Jones Trail, which I think is the same thing you've got. And although the deed makes some of the conveyed tracks, quote, subject to roads, unquote, the deed itself does not answer the question of whether DNR can or cannot pave across roads. I've been through the statutes relating to road and road authorities in general, town and county roads specifically, state trails and bikeways, reviewed the section of the handbook for Minnesota townships addressing town roads, and been through the DNR website. Nothing I have looked at directly addresses this issue, let alone indirectly addresses the issue. So he's finding nothing at all about this. I'll keep looking, but I'm not optimistic that I'll have a definite answer soon. So sounds like we're in uncharted territory here. And so this could be a precedent-setting event for the future. take any type of action.
And the impression I got from these dudes from the DNR, they thought, well, we're just a bunch of dumb farmers and we'll just roll over and play dead. Well, guess what? We live here and it's our roads and we're not gonna roll over and play dead. We're gonna fight this as best we can. We're not gonna give up until we've, if there's a way to stop it, we're gonna stop it.
Right. I guess I
And this
would,
will continue into the other counties as well too, into Murray and so forth as the trail goes to the northeast. So it's not just us. And eventually the trails also tend to get down south, down into Rock County as well too. So it's not just Pipestone County.
Just for the time being, because they've got issues in Murray County with land acquisition, because farmers actually got the land back years ago, and it's too bad that didn't happen in Pipestone County, but yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do when they get to the county line. Stop temporarily.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna continue to go anywhere if the farmer, I mean, it could take years and years, and by
Right.
then it'll be deteriorated on this end, and
Right.
that'll have to be redone, so it's a kind of a, to me, it's a waste of time, but the whole trail, personally, that's not my opinion with the board here, but that's my personal opinion. But a huge waste of taxpayers' money. But,
but I mean, we certainly don't want them paving across their road.
no, I don't know.
I guess I'd make a motion that we would authorize up to $1,000 to jointly pursue this with this Jason Hill and Burke and Gray Township to try to stop DNR from paving across any other roads, period.
I would second that.
Okay, any other discussion?
Before you vote, if I might just add one thing, I plan on going to the Gray Township meeting on September 8th and try and get them, explain the same thing I have to you guys and try and get them on board also. And if one of you commissioners want to come, might not be a bad idea either, so, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
I,
Okay, motion passes. We share your problem, but the county really has nothing to do with this thing as far
Yeah.
as whose idea it was and who pays for it and who's, supported it. And I guess we just have a couple observers on the trail system. We're not officially levying any money for it or anything like that, so.
And like I told you, agree with the trail or not, it's funded and it's going to happen, but it's just this road crossing is the thing I have the issue with, so.
Right.
All right, we'll get in touch with Gray Township and thank you for your support.
Do you have a location and time for that meeting?
I forgot to get a time, but it's September 8th in Dave Millibrook's office. It's either 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. I got to call Daryl Silverite and find out. I forgot to ask him a time.
Thank you.
Steve, could you leave your contact information with either Chris or with Steve Ewing so we can just touch base with you before we have this next Casey Jones Trail meeting?
Sure, I can do that. I think Steve's got my cell phone number.
Yep, I've got that in my phone.
Okay,
And if you guys have
Very
questions,
good.
there's Jason Hill, his number is on one of these also. He'd be
Done
glad to
that letter.
talk to you too, I think. So. Or fee, I'm sure, but whatever, if you have questions, don't be afraid to call him, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
thanks for coming in.
Okay, our next thing on the agenda is 10 a.m. Steve, anything else? Budget information, or Kathy isn't here today?
Kathy is on video, so we can get her on there as well. We can, well, I don't have to have a specific time for the household hazardous waste.
Okay,
Get that thing done. We could do that right now.
okay, let's move to that.
That's fine. What's going on with this? This goes back to June of last year when we had the small tornado that hit the building out there. And we're trying to get this through to get somebody to do the work on it. To bring you up to speed on it, we originally was, the company that built the building was Pesca Construction, so they were contacted. They gave a bid of like $92,000 to replace the whole roof. Well, the whole roof didn't need to be replaced, so that was ridiculous. So we've been working back and forth with MCIT on this to try to get and find somebody that wants to do this. So taking months and months and months to do it, we finally got in contact with MLC Construction. That's the same company that's going to do our courthouse roof. But they presented a bid and came in a little high, and then they readjusted it and brought it back down to a more palatable number. And in the meantime, we got and talking with our adjuster at MCIT, an off-the-wall bid that was just incredibly cheap at $17,055, which just isn't in the ballpark. So we weren't even sure if we were gonna get aluminum foil put up there or what they were gonna use for a product. So we decided that that bid was an outlier. So what I've got in front of you now is the latest bid from MLC, and we've already been paid by MCIT for this. We already have a check in the bank for $25,046.65. We do have some what they call retainage back to MCIT until the project is done, and then they'll pay out on that too, and that's what I gave you a copy of too on the back page of that. So they've got approximately $1,500 in recoverable depreciation when it's done. So the costs for the roof, because this is what Les knows is better, the mechanics of it, it's called a standing seam roof. And it's actually got joints that are put together, something like this, that fold over the top of it.
And they're crimped.
And crimp, so they don't leak. So what we've got on the roof right now is about half the roof. When the tornado hit it, it actually sucked the material up. So it has created a little bit of leakage in there, and there was some damage to the soffits and things like that need to be done too. So what we want to do is get this contract signed with MLC Construction for $38,070 before the prices go up again on the material. And contractors know that costs for materials have been going up exponentially all year long. So there's no sense waiting any longer. We have a good bid, they're ready to go, and recommendation is to approve the quote for $38,070 from MLC, and again, we've already have a check in the bank for the insurance money. So we'll have about so, yeah, about $11,000 is what we're gonna be paying on it, so. So again, we also had a $1,000 deductible on our insurance policy too. So, and we have no problem covering that, obviously, so we'll take care of that. So, again, we had a Pesca bid for full renewal of $92,000 back last year. Specialty Roofing came in at $17,055, and we determined that's just an outlier bid. And then we have one good bid here for $38,070. So I wanted to bring this to the board to get approval to do it here so we could get going on this, so.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Les made the motion, Chris seconded it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. I'll get this signed and get it sent back to him today, so. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Steve, can you give us an update on where we're at also with the State Historical Society on our courthouse building roof?
Dan, I've not heard anything back. I've sent some information off to the state. I haven't heard anything back from the gal who sent the letter to Doug Fortune. I've included Doug on everything since he's been the lead on this with the Historical Society since it's in the city of Pipestone. So, no, I haven't heard anything back yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, we'll keep on that, see if we can find it. Susan Hoskins at the museum did find some information from old mapping, some fire maps that they had way back in the day, and she determined that when the building was built, it was either slate or tin, based on the fire rating of the roof back in, the early 1900s. And when the slate or the tin was changed to an asphalt roofing material, and why, I have no idea. I have no information on that at all as when anything happened, and I don't have time to start paging through every book we've got to see if I can find any action that the commissioners took back in the day, but we get ArcaSearch up here and get it going, we can probably find that if there's something in there, but I wouldn't even know where to start when it changed. All I know is it's been asphalt shingles as long as I can remember, here back to probably the 70s. Nobody else been around that long, but it's been.
I don't think it's worth the effort of running that down, Steve. I think it's immaterial because, again, our approach of putting this metal up there, it's not like just sheet steel. It's going to look correct, and actually even will mimic the look somewhat of the slate, so other than ridge caps. So I think we need to continue to work with the State Historical Society and get them to agree to let us proceed with this.
Yeah. I'll get in contact with Doug Fortune and we'll take it that way and go to work through them, so. And do that, so we'll keep moving on it and get it going on it, because they are set to begin in September, so we want to get going as quick as we can. So, we'll do that. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kathy's on camera here.
Excuse me.
You want to take personnel issue, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Anything she's
Kathy,
got?
can you give us an update or whatever you need?
Good morning, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Good morning, Kathy.
Well, the only thing I have to go over with the board today is my budget. So, hopefully you have that with you. I didn't send out a copy, but I
No, that's fine.
emailed.
This shouldn't take long anyway. You're looking at your sheets
So
in
my
front of you.
budget's pretty light. It doesn't really change a whole lot from year to year, but I can kind of go through some of what's in here. First of all, you know, the first part of my budget is the salaries and benefits, so that was budgeted as requested, a 1% salary increase, and then the insurance went up, I think 3% was the budgeted amount. The phone and internet charges are the same from year to year. The one big, larger expense that comes out of my budget is the printing, publishing, and advertising. And that is basically, I try to have a good guess on that, but that's a little tough because it's mostly dependent on how much turnover we have in a year. And because the majority of my advertising is for help wanted ads for the newspaper. So you can see that is budgeted for $4,000 next year. Last year I went quite a bit over that just because of the turnover we had.
Yes, it is.
And let's see here. One note to that, we are now charging the highway openings to the highway department to hopefully get some state aid funding for that. I mean, it's pretty minimal, but at least we can code it to the road and bridge department for their advertising costs for their open positions. The dues and subscriptions and training registration fees, I am upping the dues and subscriptions a little bit to be a member of SHRM. They have a nationwide private and public sector HR. They are basically the gold standard for that. So I would like to continue participation in that because they have put out a lot of good information. For the professional services budget there, that's $2,500. And actually, as I was reviewing this, I noticed that some of my current allocations were wrong here. So you can see the dues and subscriptions and training registration fees. It actually should have been $1,500 out of the professional services fund because it was for all staff. It wasn't for just me. So the dues and subscriptions and training registration fees, that's just for mine. Typically for staff-wide training, which this year we did harassment and discrimination, and we also have our monthly webinars through that Convene training that I send out. That was $1,500 for all staff for the entire year. So that should be coming out of professional services. For the professional services, next year I budgeted $2,500 again, and again we use that for staff training, any kind of labor attorney costs, like if I need to revise anything with our benefits or anything directly HR related. If we have, so labor attorney costs for union negotiations don't come out of my department, that's non-departmental. So those types of professional services don't come directly out of my budget. But the directly HR related stuff, such as the trainings and the benefits attorney consultations would come out of that. Mileage I kept pretty flat. I just reduced it $50, but honestly, I probably won't use hardly any mileage next year if this continues. Same with meals, lodging, and expenses. I kept that pretty flat. So, you know, I have a pretty small budget. It doesn't change a whole lot from year to year, but I'm here for questions if you have any.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Kathy or comments?
None.
Nope, hers is pretty straightforward, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay. Is this information, do we need to approve?
Nope, no action
At this
needed.
point, okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Denise coming in at 10.
Take a couple minute break, Mr.
Take a
Chairman.
5-minute break.
Sounds good.
5 to 10 minutes. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we're back on.
Okay, we're back in session.
Oops, sorry. Kathy, Dan, we're back on.
Yes, I'm here also.
We have a request for a public hearing for tax abatement.
Mr. Chairman, in your package, you have a request from Auditor Treasurer Tyler Reich to schedule a tax abatement public hearing for 9:30 a.m. on September 8th. This would be on property in Edgerton. The abatement request is from Rich and Isla Meiskens. Proposal is consisting of a new home construction located in the city of Edgerton in Pipestone County. So if we could set that for 9:30 a.m. on September 8th. Make that a motion.
Okay,
Move for approval.
okay.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Chris made the motion.
Second.
Dan
Second's fine.
seconded, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting, the motion passes. Talked
Takes
about
care of
the-
that, takes care of personnel.
The roof, we talked about the tax abatement. Do you have any budget update information?
Yep, I'll give you some, I think, gave everybody an updated budget sheet dated the 24th. My stuff here.
This one says, oh yeah, 824, okay.
Yep.
Does that include the Southwest change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I just got the Southwest information yesterday, so everything went down on theirs. They requested less than, I had put a 5% increase on welfare portion of it, the Health and Human Services portion of it, and then they went to basically a 2% levy increase on that. And then I did $1 per capita on public health, and they changed it to 50 cents. So it dropped significantly down on our levy, so we're down to a negative 1.65 as of today.
And this is just the preliminary for Health and Human Services. We weren't happy about the 2%. So told them to work on it. We can't raise it, but we can always go down.
Yeah. So that's what we've got today anyway on that. So,
Mr. Chair, Steve, just a question.
Yep.
On 122 countywide transportation, I noticed the last cell there is like formula. I just didn't know that. Anything off from that?
it's because there's no levy anymore on it. That's why there's a division issue on that. There's nothing there for it to go back against. So for 20, we ended up, our budget for 20, the only thing we had in there was 8,800 was our expense for our portion of a vehicle. And there is no portion of a vehicle for next year, so it's down to virtually nothing. So the only thing we're doing on that is we pay the telephone and the internet charges as part of the lease, and then they turn around and pay us about $10,200 in income for being there, so that's why, there's nothing, no expenses other than what are normal, so that's why it doesn't come out right.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. And on community health on page 80, the original I put in there was 141,541, and the preliminary is now 136,743 is where we're at on community health. And then on the family service fund, I had budgeted initially 1,478,537, which was a 5% increase. And it's now preliminary 1,453,426, 25,111 less. And in the IT, we got those figured out with Bill. That here, my little marks. Data processing, that's on page 20, if you're looking at that. Last one, Bill was in here, we had a question on 6260 professional service. He had that marked at 78,000. He dropped that to 68,000. And on the rentals and service agreements, he had that at 15,000, determined that was a typo. That should have been 2,000. So that brought his down from 105,400 net to 87,400. So he had a substantial drop on that. And then his computer software went up, that's 6402, it changed from 10,000 to 15,000 on that, and that's where that 15 should have been. So still it's a net reduction in his budget from 105,400 to 87,400. So I'm very pleased with the department heads of how they're taking care of their business and helping us out with these trying times we're working through. And buildings and plant, we took care of that last time, so that was a typo, so
Yep.
that's done. So all my markings are in here. This hasn't gone to Sandy for a reprint yet. I want to get through a few more before I go ask for another one. So I've checked everything out. The numbers are correct as I've gone through everything, and everything on the side was, you see a little gray there, that's actually a highlight on there. So that was changes from last time we met. The last one was on the 14th. So right now, our total levy for 21, it's 7,128,962, so we're 1.65% less. I did get information yesterday, we're going to see an increase in our property casualty insurance costs. They went up about $17,000. Work comp is actually down about $2,000, but property casualty went up. And primarily that's due to
claims.
Yeah, and not necessarily from us either. So our property casualty is up 17,897 from 2020, and work comp is down $1,225. So it's a little change. But what's going on in that, what's driving the increases, just so you know, is property casualty rates went up about 12%, workers' comp decreased approximately 1.7%, and the property casualty is due significant increases in the cost of property and casualty reinsurance and negative claim developments in the area of law enforcement and corrections, which we were hearing about last year already, where there were deaths and injuries in custody and in correctional facilities, in county jails, that type of thing that are, so that's pushing a lot of these rate increases. So, but we are on line apparently for a dividend. Hopefully we'll see a dividend back, and what your feelings are on dividends. And some would say just lower our rates and don't worry about the dividends, but I guess that's how they do it. So, so we're in line for that. But
Are we still meeting on the 1st?
yes. Yep.
Steve, when do we get our check from the electric solar panel kickback? We got a pretty nice check last year, didn't we?
We have,
It's annual.
Tyler's gotten
isn't it?
some money already from them.
Okay. I'm just curious. I thought it was once a year we got it, but maybe.
Yep, that should be in. So on, let's see, my 003 budget,
It was a pretty good check last year, if I recall.
And I put a copy of the solar and the wind distribution in your boxes too, so you could see that. We're on line to pick up for next year, $630,000.
For wind.
So we were picking up in 2019, 444, 358. So we'll have to have a discussion of how we want to do that. I know that when we did the school, the board
gotta
discussed
pay back.
about trying to pay it back. So what I budgeted for '21 so far is $450,000, and we're gonna get about 630, so that's about $180,000 difference. If that's something you want to show as the full amount, because that's going to immediately reduce the levy some more. So if you want to leave it as that, we want to put that.
And 600, or just a
No,
total of?
630 is our
of
total.
630,
Our
okay.
old total was about 450.
Okay.
So,
Oh, if we don't include it, we're paying ourselves back like we said we would.
right, yeah, that,
Well, we didn't take it out of reserves, basically, we just took it out of our general fund, right, when we paid for
yeah, it
the
would have
school
been,
and all that.
it came out of fund balance,
Right.
is what it is, you know, and that was,
Which is your reserve.
yeah, it's basically reserved. It was an unbudgeted expense, so, for the school, so it came out of our reserves, out of the general fund. But if you want.
Steve, have you talked to Tyler about how he'd like to show that coming back on to credit that account that he's taking the money out of, or?
Well, there was really no account that it came out of because it came out of general revenue. We didn't set up a specific
Right.
account for the school. We took it out of 003, out of the, what, this is the non-departmental anyway, so we're, if we want to pay that back, with the $180,000 a year or whatever amount we wanted to put on there. But I didn't want to include it at this point just to show it as levy reduction, since we're
Right.
doing quite well on levy reduction right now. I want to make sure that we're showing that another way. But I'll talk to Tyler when he gets back, and we'll come up with a solution for that, how would be the best. So,
And I understand that we just didn't take it out of our general reserve. I just want to make sure that we're real clear with the public so they understand that, yes, we did pay ourselves back for that project. So whether it may be something just as simple as a notation that the general fund has been replenished, that could be enough too.
correct, yeah. The actual wind production tax is $629,369 is what the state sent us. That's the exact, and I just rounded it to the even numbers on it.
And the county or the township share is outside of that?
Correct.
This is money we keep?
Yes, this
so-
is ours. The township gets their own
Okay.
monies out of that. Yep,
And what about the solar power?
that's in there too.
That's all of it.
That's all broken in, it's all into one.
It's all in there, okay.
Yeah. County program aid, we got about a $4,000 increase from 574,878 to 578,226. So very minimal increase in program aid, but at least it went up. We didn't lose any.
At least they didn't take it away.
Yeah, they didn't take it away yet, so. But
Have to wonder if they will next year.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
it's gonna be a year down the road before we see a lot of repercussions coming.
Let's see, I have, Dan, I'll email you this too. I'll send you a copy of the revised budget schedule too. I'm just handing one out right now to the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll probably see if I can get Denise slotted in on the first at 11:30. That's where originally I moved her off of, so I figured she'd be here, so I'll get that worked out, so. Any other budget questions, discussion, anything for me on this right now? If not, that's basically all I've got.
Okay, thank you.
Just keep us in the red.
Anything else to come before the meeting today?
Mr. Chair, I move for adjournment.
Les made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Chris seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.
10:27.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, Dan.
Hope it was worth your trip
Thank
today.
you, guys, appreciate it. Steve, when